أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So for today, right, since we're gonna have a break, so I just wanted to end off on a good note since we only have this one and next week we're gonna have one more. So that's gonna be the end of the series. And it's gonna be, I think the last one we did was like 34, so I think 33. So this is gonna be the 34th, and then the next one is gonna be 35th. So today, when we think about our life in general, right? What are the positive things we think about is our future, right? We only when you think about your future, you want to become something. You want to be somebody that is proud of themselves, right? You want to be somebody who has a dream. We all have a dream, right? And we chase that dream. The fact that we're here in university, we're chasing a dream, right? We have these goals that we want to become, right? We have this passion that we have for some things, right? So for today, I wanted to talk about, our future goals, our dreams, our aspirations. Since I know we have exams, we talked about it last week that, when we have exams, we have those nervous moments. We have those situations where we stop in our tracks and we're I don't know what to do. We have those anxieties. We have the nervousness, right? So for today, I want to end off on a good note. So we're going to talk about our future goals, our dreams, our aspirations, and we're going to talk about two of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name, Al-Kareem and Al-Akram. We're going to connect it back to why, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Kareem. Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Al-Akram, right? So, and we're going to deep dive into, what does it mean for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be Al-Akram in my life? What does it mean for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be Al-Kareem in our life, right? So before we start, we always have a question that we ask, and since it's you guys, I'll ask, and maybe I kind of know what your dreams are, but still you're gonna tell me your name and you're gonna tell me what dream you have, why you're studying, what you're studying, what is your passion, what is your goal, what is your dream, basically what is your dream. So we're gonna start from you. What's your name? And you're gonna tell me what dream you have, and it could be something that is attached to your major, it could be something that's not attached to your major, it could be anything but your dream. Something you want to become or something you are chasing.
My name is Jonathan, and I don't really think of big dreams like that, but I guess a dream that I'm hoping to achieve is just living a calm, happy life after college.
Okay.
Just getting a stable job.
Yes.
Stable job, a house of my own,
Inshallah.
I just want that part.
Yeah, you want to live independently, as in you want to provide for yourself. You want to be able to be earning, and then you're wait, I can live off.
I feel the major that I'm in, it helps me with a diverse amount of opportunities that I have. So I'm really fine with anything for now.
Yes.
But I just want a future where I can have a nice little family, and then just be there at times, do my work, and then be there, just
you want to have both. You don't want to compromise that I'm just only focused on my career, and then you don't have a family life. You want to have a family, but also you want to focus on your career. You want to have a stable life where you can do both things at the same time. Okay. All right, that's a good dream, because we all have that. We all think about how we're gonna have a beautiful house, a beautiful family, and then also do the things that we want to do, right? So you're gonna tell me your name, and maybe you didn't find your dream or anything. It could be anything, but something you want in the future, right? We all want some things in the future. We're I really want to have this. Maybe I want to have a cat. It could be anything. So, but for the dream part of it, what is your dream? Say your name and then what's your dream?
So hi, my name is Hannah, and my dream one day is to become a doctor, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Because throughout my life, I've been in the ER so many times, and sometimes it's the doctors don't really explain anything to you. So if I was a doctor, I would try my best to educate my patients and stuff.
So you want to provide in a way, you want to provide information when you become a doctor. You don't want to be the doctors that you faced in your life, where they're
in ER is different, obviously.
Okay.
But I think just going, because I volunteer at the hospital, it's sometimes I just don't want to leave because I like helping.
Really? Okay, that's so cute.
People just they always need some support, and I think it would be a blessed opportunity if I got that. if I
Inshallah.
could support someone like that.
Yeah, like you just like the environment a lot because for us, like we like different environments. Like some of us like clinical setting, some of us like academic setting, anything. But like the fact that you've been to, like, you expose yourself, you know the experience, how it's like to be in that situation. And when you think about ER, it's a lot of stress, right? Like the person who's injured or whatever the reason that they're in the ER, they're stressing. The doctor needs to think and judge at the moment that what they're gonna do, and then the like patients, like relatives, whoever is with the patient, they're also like very much like they're also like a lot of like anxiety going on. Yeah, but in that moment, if you have like a stable mind and like in your head, you're like you have to be so calm, right? But yeah, like that's a really good. But do you have any specific area in like when it comes to being a doctor? Like, do you have like
I
any?
think I would like to do psychiatry.
Okay, inshallah.
Inshallah.
That's really good. Yeah. Are you like studying any? Are you taking any psych classes?
No. I mean,
Okay.
at the moment, I don't have to take any psych classes.
Right,
I think
right.
I might have to take psych 220.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. 220. I think I know that class. It's which one? Social cognitive? Maybe that. Like one of the
Yeah.
twos. Yeah. But yeah. Oh, that's developmental psychology. Yeah, 220. Yeah, I took that class. But yeah, like when you think about, I have one cousin of mine. He's also in the psychiatry. Like he's doing psychiatry, so it's really cool to like because you're gonna be able to like prescribe medicine. You're gonna be able to tend to their needs at the moment. And that's really amazing. And if I share my dream, like when I've been like, we all have those like moments where we go to the lecture room, right? And it's like a lot of seats, and you see the professor, they're speaking. And I love speaking, so like for my dream, I want to be a speaker in general, like becoming a lecturer or like becoming a speaker. Like it's like both. I love public speaking, so whichever area that provides for me to become like to just have an audience and talk, I love it. So like that's like we have. So basically, my point of like asking these questions, right? We have these like things that we want, right? We have these things that might seem like you just think that it's impossible to achieve at the moment, right? We have these big dreams. We have like even the dreams that we think like, oh, right now I can't have it at the moment, right? Like right now I can be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like a lecturer, I'm gonna be a teacher right now, right? Like right now I can't, right? Because right now it's like there's a step that needs to be like taken for me to become that, right? Like for us, we all have to like go through certain things to become somebody, right? So, like when you think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's like names, Al-Akram and Al-Karim, right? What does it mean? So the first name is Al-Akram, that means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like limitless in generosity, right? Like the way He provides for us, it's beyond our imagination, right? When you think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being capable, right? And one thing like that I want you guys to think about when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names, right? Like when we were like talking about this, like, the past couple of weeks, that when you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a term in Arabic, if you guys know, husn al-dhan, which means having good assumption about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, what do I mean by husn al-dhan? What do I mean by, like having good assumption, right? So let's say you have your friend and your friend borrowed something from you, right? And that thing must be like a charger, and there has been like 2 days, 3 days, and you want it back. And you're like, I don't know, should I ask her? Should I not ask her? And sometimes it's really easy for us to ask if we have a close friend, but sometimes the friend might be like a distant friend where we're not comfortable, and it's really hard for us to ask them, right? And at that moment, you can have so many things where you're like, I don't know, should I ask her? Is she busy? Is she not? And most of the times what happens is when you think about like, asking for something, when we think about, thinking about somebody, right? Sometimes we might go into like a negative mode where we're thinking certain things. We're like, maybe she just doesn't want to give it back to me. Maybe she's just borrowing it for the sake of borrowing it and she's never going to give it back, right? We have those moments where we have thoughts that are kind of negative, right? Sometimes we have those thoughts where we're like amazed by ourselves. We're like, wait, I should not be thinking that, right? So when you have those moments where you think about somebody, if you have good thoughts about somebody, let's say I gave you guys the example of, you're thinking, oh, maybe she doesn't want to give it back. That's a negative thought, right? But versus if you think about, oh, maybe she's busy, maybe she has exam, maybe she needs it more than me, right? That's a good thought. That's you're having a positive thought about somebody, right? So at that moment, if you think good about your, like the person that I'm like, just describing to you guys, you're having good assumption about that person. You're having husn al-dhan. about that person, right? So husn dhan to us, for us to be having husn dhan in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means we're having good assumption about him. And how does that good assumption look like? Good assumption looks like when you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Ya Allah, you are you are the one who I go to in need, and I know for a fact that you're always gonna be there for me. No matter what, no matter how big I have this dream and I think it's impossible, I know you're going to be there for me. You're having good thoughts about him. Sometimes we make dua, and then let's say we make it constantly every single day. We make it every single tahajjud. We make it a point to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this, right? And sometimes it doesn't happen, right? It's like, I just want to do really good in this test. I just want to have a good grade in this class, right? And something happens, maybe we weren't just prepared enough, right? And we just don't do good in that test. And we're like, I made so much dua. What happened? Why didn't I do good, right? And at that moment, it's really like, us being human beings, right? We just have this natural tendency to just think a lot of things at the moment when things doesn't go our way, right? And for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have to guide us through our thoughts, like the fact that he mentions such a term as husn dhan in in our religion, right? Like the fact that he mentions it just means that he wants us to have a good thought about this, about him. So when you think about it, just the fact that when you think about our future, when you think about our dreams, when you think about our goals, right, it's a long process. And when it comes to us, right, we're walking to this distance, we get so impatient really quickly. Like, let's say I'm going to the Stony Brook Hospital, right, and the bus is not coming, or let's say the bus comes and the bus is 10 minutes late or 20 minutes late, and it's just in one stop for 5 minutes, and I'm like, come on, I just have to go. I'm just in a hurry, right? We just want to get to our destination so fast, so quickly. It's just the fact that if anything goes wrong in the way of our way to the destination, and we get so impatient. We're like, I just wish it could happen right now. Why can't I just go there right now? I'm on the bus. I did all of my things. Why can't I just be there at the moment, right? And let's say some things do go wrong and the bus is there for 10 minutes and you're late to your appointment. And then when you go there, I did everything right. Why am I late, right? So us being impatient, we get so frustrated. We get so annoyed. We get so much I just wish I could just go there right now. I wish just this thing didn't happen this way. I wish this bus ride would have been just smooth, right? We have those moments where we get impatient. And if you think about your life as a journey and your goal as a destination, you're going to that goal, and in the way we're being a student, and then from the student you graduate, let's say you become like a resident for the doctor, right? You become somebody who's in the process of getting there, and in the process, let's say some things do go wrong, and us human beings, we think everything's gonna go right, but things do go wrong. It's just a natural way of how things work, and when things go wrong, we just have these all sorts of negative thoughts where I just don't know why this happened. I did everything right? For me, let's say I was waiting for this bus to get on the train to Stony Brook, and I get there on time, and it's a Friday schedule. For some reason, the bus wasn't there at the stop at the time that I usually get on the bus at the same time. But on that day, it was a Friday schedule. For some reason, the bus wasn't there at the time that I know. If I take that bus, I'm going to be on the station at the right time. And the bus wasn't there. The bus came late. And I was on the bus, and I was like, okay, I have to run when I get off because my train is going to be there. And then I got off the bus, and I was running. And, the moment I saw on my train time app, and the train left. So I was late to my whole, I was late to my work. I was late to the whole day, right? But it was in my head, I was I came in early. I came in at the time that I usually come in, but the bus isn't here. Normally it's there, but that day it wasn't there, right? So, when we do the things that we're supposed to do and things just doesn't go right at the moment, we get so frustrated. We're I did everything that I'm supposed to do. Why didn't things go my way, right? And at that moment, when things happen like that, it's really hard for us to just have good thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you can overcome that moment and still strive through in a way where let's say this is the level, right? Where you're waiting for something, you're oh, I'm just gonna do this exam, or you're waiting for a class, you're waiting for this internship that you apply to, you're waiting for a result, right? And this internship or this opportunity is really important for you, and you're waiting, at that waiting period, it's really like, we could have so many thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, I made so much dua. I woke up every single day in tahajjud. I'm asking you, why can't I have this opportunity? Why can't I have this job? Why are they delaying the result? Why are they like not giving me the answer right away when they're supposed to? Or like, why didn't I get this opportunity? Why didn't I get this internship that I'm supposed to get, right? At that moment, we have two options. Whether we can just, because you know how things are going to happen the way they're going to happen anyway, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote our life, right? But in that moment, you can have two options where you can be like, you know what? I'm just going to stay calm because I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control. And we talked about, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being in control, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, Ar-Raqib and Shaheed, He's always there with us, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always in control, that He is Al-Muhaymin, right? Like He's always in fully control. That now like I remember last time, I think it was like the third week of the, when we did the halak, and I was like, you know what, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now you know His names. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fully in control, right? So in that moment, you have two options. Whether you can be somebody who's like, you know what, I'm just gonna like stay calm. I did everything that I'm supposed to. Just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, one thing Rasulullah says that, tie your camel and then put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And at that moment, you have two options. One thing you can do is that you can just stay calm and you're like, Ya Allah, I did everything I'm supposed to do. Rest is on your hand. I did whatever I'm supposed to do at that moment, and I can only do so much, right? Or you can just go on the second option, where you can be like, you know what? Life sucks. I just did this. I am so, I did everything. Why can't you just make it happen, Ya Allah? What is happening? I thought you got this. I thought you were going to do it. I thought you were going to make it happen for me, right? But you have those two options, right? And it's so for us being humans, we can always go to the second option. We can always complain. We can always be frustrated. We can always be anxious. We can always be sad about the fact that we're still waiting, right? But we can also choose the first option, because when you think about your life, it's gonna happen the way it's supposed to happen, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who wrote our life. You have the option to do two things. Whether you just go and be like, Ya Allah, I don't know what to do. I did my job. The rest is up to you. You can just rely on Him. If let's say you sit on a chair, right? You have two options. Whether you sit like this, where you are in control, or you can just lay back. The back is going to be always in the back, right? So it's up to you whether you're going to just lay back, just sit back and relax, or you're going to be like, you know what? I don't think it's in the back. I don't know if the chair has this handle. I don't know if I can put my handle there, right? So if you think about your life, basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being there for you is basically the chair's back. It's always going to be there for you. But it's up to you whether you're going to be someone who's going to push back and relax because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala got you, or you're going to be somebody who's going to be I don't know, you're going to feel so much stress, be I don't know if that back is on the back. I don't know if the chair has that handle. I don't know if I can relax, right? So if you think about your life like that, it's always you have those two options where you can just go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, relax, sitting on the chair, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have your back. Or you can be somebody who's I don't know, feel you can be somebody who's so much anxious about the moment. You're I don't know if it's in the back or not, right? You can always rely on Him, or you cannot rely on Him. The option is always up to us, right? So, just the fact that if you know more about Him, it's easier for you to relax, right? Let's say, one thing I really like to talk about is the fact that there's let's say we're in a plane, right? And in a plane, the pilot comes to you, and then the pilot gives you reassurance, right? They're oh, so this plane is built in this time, this plane has this mechanics and everything, and you wanted to study aerospace, something like that, right? So let's say the pilot comes to you and the pilot gives you so much detailed information about the plane, right? Then let's say you have somebody who has agoraphobia, right? You have somebody who's fear of flying. And I was in my psych class, and my professor was mentioning that she worked with somebody who had this phobia where they can just ride in the plane. So what they what the professor we have this thing called in in psychology is exposure therapy. So when the pilot, not the pilot, but the patient that my professor was working with, she basically gradually exposed her more to like the planes, more to the fact that, okay, let's go to the airport this day, and then next day let's go on the plane and come down, and then gradually, like, she was exposing like the patient to the plane, like to the situation, to the environment, right? So for us, let's say like we have like something like that. We are somebody who has like phobia like that, right? And we're super scared to get on the plane, right? And let's say we're in the plane and the pilot comes to you and the pilot tells you, oh, this plane was built in this time. We have these technicians with us on the plane. They worked on this plane for like this many hours. They built this, they built that. They give you more information about the plane, right? You're gonna be somebody after that session, after that talk with the pilot, you're gonna be somebody who's gonna be a little bit more relaxed. You're gonna be like, you know what? I talked to the pilot. I talked to, the technicians. I talked to the people who worked on this plane, right? And they seem like they're somebody who's reassuring. They gave me so much information. I can just relax a little bit, right? So, like, let's say the same thing with us and our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that when you get to know more about Him, right? Like now, let's say you're like, oh, I don't know nothing about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's hard for me to trust Him. Versus I'm somebody who knows His names. I'm somebody who's learning His names, who's like, gradually I get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better, right? And the more you get to know Him better, it's easier for you to trust Him, right? Like, when you think about, trust the process, we say that line a lot, right? We're like, oh, just trust the process, do this and that, you don't have to do anything, just relax, trust the process. But if you don't know who you are trusting, how are you going to trust the process, right? So, like the more you get to know about Him, like smaller things, right? Let's say before this semester, you didn't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Muhaymin, that He's completely in control. But now you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is completely in control. You're like, you know what? Next time something happens, next time you have this big test, next time you have something that is like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, right? But now you're like, you know what, Ya Allah, I know your name. I know something about you that I didn't know before, right? So, that's why, if you think about it, the more you get to know Him better, you have more information about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You get to like, you're exposing yourself to His names. You're exposing yourself to His qualities, His attributes, what He's capable of, right? So the more you get to do that, and then you're like, you know what, Ya Allah, next time something happens, next time I'm in a situation where I don't have control, I'm going to be somebody who's going to sit back and relax on the chair, knowing that the back is still there, knowing that you have my back, right? So I know I'm giving a lot of just a lot of analogy here and there, but it's just, I don't know how I got into those tangents, but you guys get the idea that, when you know that certain things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's easier for you to sit in the chair and relax, right? So we're gonna go to the first name, right? So Al-Akram, He's someone who gives without being asked and exceeds the expectation when He gives. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Akram, we're going to go to the name, just the quality Akram, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Akram, but if you think about just the quality Akram itself, let's say you're with a friend, and this friend is somebody who's so kind. Anytime you ask her for, let's say, you're like, can I borrow a pen? She gives you 2 pens. If you're like, oh, can I get want to grab something with me? She buys you drinks. And then let's say you're like, oh, can I borrow your charger? She gives you her whole bag of chargers, right? So she's Akram too at the moment because she's giving you more than you're expecting her to give you. You ask her one thing and she gives you 10 things, right? So she's Akram to you at that situation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Akram means that He gives us without expectation any time in our life. When we ask Him, He's always Al-Akram to us. That He always gives us more than we can think of, right? And sometimes we're like, oh, I can't wait. I'm making this dua. Why isn't it happening, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still being Al-Akram to you at that moment. Maybe He's going to give you something bigger than what you're asking for. I don't know if you guys have heard that quote where it's you're asking for a rose and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing a garden for you, right? So where does that quote come from, right? We always see that quote. I always post it whenever I see something beautiful. It's maybe you're asking for a rose and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing the whole garden for you. But where does that quote comes from? It comes from His name, Al-Akram. The fact that He's somebody who exceeds our expectation when He gives us, right? Maybe He's waiting to give you, but when He gives you, He's gonna exceed your expectation, right? Maybe when He's gonna give you, it's something small you're asking, maybe He's gonna give you something bigger, and He will give you something bigger because now you know His name, Al-Akram, which means that He's somebody who's giving, and when He gives, He exceeds the expectation, right? So the second name is Al-Karim. And this is used to describe someone who's more generous. And more generous means somebody who's like, when you have when you have Kareem in general, if you guys heard of the name Kareem, somebody who's Kareem. The Kareem is always used by people who are hey Kareem, let's say somebody named Kareem, right? And where does that name comes from? It comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name Al-Kareem, which means he's the most generous. Let's say if you guys seen a big let's say a popular figure, right? They give a lot, they give a lot in donation because they have a lot of money, right? So when they give a lot of money in donation, they're Kareem at that moment because they're giving a lot. So the amount is a lot. So that's how somebody who's described Kareem. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Kareem, which means that when he gives, his generosity is limitless. He's gonna give, and when he gives, it's beyond measure, right? So now you think about it, you're like, Allah, now I know two of your names. You're Al-Akram. That means when you're gonna give me beyond what I can imagine, because you're gonna always exceed my expectation. Maybe I'm just asking that, Ya Allah, I want to get into this university, but maybe maybe I'm asking you this, but because you're Al-Kareem, you're Al-Akram, which means that when you're gonna give me, when the expectation, acceptation, what is that? Acceptation, the letter that comes in, right? When it's gonna come in, maybe it's gonna come up with a scholarship. Maybe it's gonna be let's say I choose the exact faculty that I want to get into, and I get into that faculty, and people are nicer. People are really the environment is really the work ethic in that environment is really good. So all those extra things that comes up with your dua is basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Akram to you. When you're asking, let's say you're I just want to get into Stony Brook so bad. We just have that dua. We're Allah, this is good for me. This is the university that's right for me. Get me into that university, right? And we got into this university, and let's say you're dorming, let's say you're commuting, and it's such a good environment. If you were in any other environment, it wouldn't have been the same as the fact that you were here. So if you think about it, all those extra things that comes up with something that you're asking, and when you get it, the extra things is basically also being Al-Akram to you at that moment. When you ask for I just want to get into this high school, and you got into the high school, but your teachers were nicer, your teachers were good, your grades were good. All those things were Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Akram to you. You asked for a certain thing, one thing, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was being Al-Akram to you, that he gave you more than you asked for, right? And the fact that he's Al-Kareem, which means that when he's gonna give you, it's gonna be limitless. Maybe you're Allah, I just want to have a stable life. I want to have a good house, right? But when he's gonna give you that, maybe there's gonna be a lot of peace that comes with it. Maybe your coworker is gonna be nicer. Maybe let's say you want to be a doctor and you want to be in the ER. You want to do all of that, right? Maybe the hospital that you're gonna work in, it's gonna be a really good hospital where your coworkers are nicer, and then maybe your salary is gonna be good. Maybe when you have that, you're gonna provide for your parents better than what you would have thought you would have done, right? Maybe you would have studied better. Maybe you're gonna get into a good med school, right? If you think about it, right? When you think about, okay, this is what I have, this is what my goal is, but now you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Akram, he's Al-Kareem, that when he's gonna give you, when we're gonna achieve that dream that we have, it's gonna be better, because he's gonna give us without expectation. It's gonna be beyond what we can imagine, and it's gonna be in a amount. It's gonna be a lot. So now you know that, okay, Allah, I have this dream, I have this thing that I want, but I also know that you are Al-Akram. I also know that you are Al-Kareem. Means that you're gonna give me, when you're gonna give me, it's gonna be limitless. It's gonna be beyond what I can imagine, right? So when you think about that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who gives dignity. Let's say you're somebody who's Ya Allah, I just want this opportunity, I just want this, right? And you're not getting it. Let's say you get it, but you're this is so exhausting. This is something that you think that it's really a lot for you, right? So Yusuf alayhi salam, if you guys know about his story, right? He was also somebody who went through a lot. His life wasn't what we could imagine, us going through, because he suffered a lot. He went through so many things that it's just unimaginable for us to think about, right? A little boy thrown into the well, a little boy just sold into slavery, right? We have those stories that we learn about, right? But at the end, right, when he got what he's supposed to get, like Allah SWT made him the minister. Allah SWT gave him the honor of being a prophet, right? It was beyond what he could have imagined. His ending was beyond what he could have imagined, right? If you think about Maryam alayhi salam too, right? She was somebody who was basically degraded by the society because they thought that she did something she didn't do, right? But Allah SWT made her, like Allah SWT honored her through, like, like we have a surah in our Quran about her name. We have her story. We know her. We learn about her. We love her, right? Like she's the best woman in the world. She's the best woman in the ummah, right? So she's somebody who, when you think about her life, she didn't go through a really easy life. She went through hardships, right? But at the end, when she became who she became, she's still honored to this day. She lived in this world like years and years ago, but we still remember her. We still think of her. We still look up to her, right? So, when you think about that honor, that dignity, that, like the reward that comes for like anything we're going through, it only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you hear about Yusuf alayhi salam, when you hear about Maryam alayhi salam, all of their story just gives us that glimpse of like, when it's gonna come, when the reward's gonna come, it's only gonna come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So, just the fact that one thing, like, I want to end off here is that, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us that dream, that big goal, something that we want in life, He's the one who put that thought in our heart, right? And He's going to be the one who's going to guide you through the path. So just, never stop believing and never doubt yourself that I don't know if it's going to be possible for me, because you are relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Akram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Kareem. That He's going to give you, when He's going to give you, it's going to be beyond what you could imagine, beyond what you thought, that, Ya Allah, I thought this was only imaginable for me, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was just going to surprise you with so many things that you just didn't know that existed, right? Maybe an opportunity is going to come to you. You never knew that it existed, and up until the point it came to you. You're like, wait, I didn't know that. That's amazing, right? So, just never stop believing on the fact that this dream is impossible to achieve, because Allah is the one who put in, I have heard this one thought that I always think of is that if He didn't want you to achieve it, He would have never put that thought in your heart in the first place. So the fact that we want things in life, He's the one who put that in our heart in the first place, right? And He's going to be the one to, He's going to be the one who's going to be with us, who's going to guide us through our path, right? So the key takeaway is that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always goes above and beyond what is needed for our life. So just always have that trust in Him, right? Just if one thing you take away from today is that fact that He is, those two names we learned, that He is always going to be beyond what I can imagine. For Him to, whatever I want for in my life, it could be something that's humanly, I think it's capable, right? Oh, this is what I want. Okay, maybe this is the only, our brain, let's say this is our brain, and this is the only place we think of, where we can achieve. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists beyond that. He can give you beyond what you can imagine, right? So always, let's say you're making a dua, make it bigger. You're like, oh, I want to be this, make it bigger. That, Ya Allah, I want to be this, and also this. I want to do this, but also this. So always have that high expectation about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And also, the last thing I wanted to say is that learn about Him. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but if you are somebody who's like, maybe I just don't know much about you, Ya Allah, try to learn. Just start off, from the fact that, okay, I want to know more about you, Ya Allah. Just, open it up for me. Open your knowledge for me. I don't know much about you, but I want to learn. I want to be someone who knows about you, but I don't know. Just open that thought in your heart. It always starts with your heart. When you think about it, any change, anything that we want, it always starts from our heart, because that's where we start wanting it, right? So, make your heart a place where the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fact that you're close with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that exists in your heart. Make your heart like a home for that type of, now I know this name of Him. Now I know this about Him. Now I know His words better. Now I know, learning, maybe for somebody who doesn't know how to read, right? Because I also struggled with, reading the Quran. So maybe you're somebody who's also struggling with that. Try to, take one step at a time, and that one step always comes from your heart. So that's where I'm going to end here. And inshallah, we're going to end off with a beautiful dua if you guys want to join me. Okay, Ya Rabbul Alameen, Ya Arhamur Rahimin, Ya Dhul Jalali wal Ikram, Ya Arhamur Rahimin. Our brothers and sisters in Gaza, Syria, Congo, Sudan, Uyghur, wherever, and Kashmir, wherever they're suffering, Allah, grant them Jannat al-Firdaus, Allah. Allow them to be somewhat, allow them to reunite with their family members in the highest level of Jannat al-Firdaus, Allah. Allow them to only remember their good times and allow them to forget all the hardship, all the atrocities that they're witnessing. Allow that reunion with their family members in the highest level of Jannat al-Firdaus, Allah, to heal all of their wounds, both physical and mental. And Ya Allah, allow us to be the best version of ourselves. Ya Allah, allow us to shine wherever we go. Fi dunya. I'm going to end here.